Juan Manuel Marquez has been one of Mexico's favorite fighters worldwide. Accumulating world titles and breaking records in different countries, he has only been defeated by the best. However, he has also defeated the best. But low points in his career led to certain fighters mocking him. Some even attacked his nationality. This gave Marquez the tough task of recovering, stepping into the ring, and punishing them for their comments. Stay until the end to find out which fighters mocked Marquez and how it cost them their careers. Marquez is too old to beat me, Terdsak Jandaeng claimed before stepping into the ring. The fight would take place on August 5, 2006, in the state of Nevada. Jandaeng, the Thai fighter, had won 24 of his previous 25 fights, so he was confident this would be just another encounter. Marquez was only 32 years old, while Jandaeng was 25, with a ring record of 44 wins in 48 fights. Juan Manuel entered that ring determined to prove Terdsak wrong. But with a recent loss and facing a younger fighter with a winning streak, the scenario was already challenging. At the beginning of the fight, both fighters sized each other up. They threw jabs and moved around the ring.
Low, but as we pointed out, extremely.
Something that changed in the second round after Marquez sent Jandaeng to the canvas with a left uppercut. Jandaeng managed to get up with difficulty before the bell rang. But he was starting to realize that beating the old veteran wouldn't be so easy. By the third round, Jandaeng was already in a desperate situation.
Went low with that punch, and that certainly was low, and gets a warning from one, and that also was very low. In retrospect, looking at it, it was pretty darn low. So.
By the sixth round, Terdsak was sent to the canvas once again, with a right uppercut followed by a combination of punches that made it increasingly difficult for him to stand.
That little left uppercut is a punch that he should not avoid.
And the big straight right.
That's not too bad either.
And a right uppercut, and now Jandaeng for the second.
They reached the seventh round with Jandaeng barely able to stand and not even responding to the referee. Thus, the decision to stop the fight was made. The punishment Marquez had inflicted was obvious. That technical knockout once again positioned Juan Manuel at the top of the division, crowning him as the interim champion of the WBO, World Boxing Organization. We move on to 2008, when El Sapillo Casamayor had already achieved 36 victories, with 22 of them by knockout. He had faced big names and had recently taken the World Championships from Diego Corrales. The moment favored Casamayor. He felt on top of the world, as if no one in his division could stop him. But it was all a construct of his mind. It was precisely Joel Casamayor's success that made him the favorite of experts and fans to defeat Juan Manuel Marquez, who had just been defeated by Manny Pacquiao. El Sapillo knew that Marquez was in a lower weight division where he was the champion, so he didn't hesitate to aggressively respond to the possibility of a fight against him. Joel claimed he would give Marquez the beating of his life, promising to win by knockout. He said he would send Marquez back to the Mexicans bruised and battered. He even commented that, to him, Juan Manuel didn't seem Mexican, all due to his lack of courage. Through taunts, he said he looked more like an Ecuadorian. At the press conference, the problem escalated. Juan Manuel was insulted, pushed, and physically attacked in front of everyone present. This made Joel Casamayor the most talkative opponent Marquez had ever faced. The fight took place on September 23, 2008, after so many insults, taunts, and attacks. At the beginning of the bout, it did seem that Casamayor was on track for victory. Although the first 4 rounds of the match were close, the balance slightly tipped in favor of the Cuban.
See him on the inside here. They're both giving themselves enough room to work on the inside and score on the inside.
Marquez was having a hard time adapting to El Sapillo's style as well as his southpaw guard. When you add to that being in a new weight division, the Mexican indeed seemed to be in trouble. But it was all part of his strategy. His trainer had asked him to take his time to study his opponent and identify his weaknesses. From the 5th round onward, a shift in the balance could be seen as Marquez began to dominate the fight. He landed a perfect right straight to Casamayor's face in the 5th round, opening a cut above his eyebrow. It was clear that Juan Manuel wouldn't give up.
Not by a lot, but by enough. Big right hand slipped in by Marquez.
The 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds were won by Juan Manuel. But the excitement reached its peak in the 11th round when Marquez knocked down Casamayor.
Coming forward. A lot of times people see a brawl, they think that's a good fight. And he drops him with a big right hand.
Casamayor got up with the intention to continue fighting. There were only around 20 seconds left, so Marquez came out of his corner with everything to try to knock him out in the little time remaining. Casamayor tried to clinch Marquez to buy time, but with only 10 seconds left, Juan Manuel sent the Cuban to the canvas. At that moment, for the first time in his life, Joel Casamayor was knocked out. At this point, it would be reasonable to think that any opponent would be cautious when facing Juan Manuel Marquez. But Juan Diaz had not learned the lesson. We moved to February 2009, when Diaz found it easy to accept the match. Especially because Juan Manuel had just lost to Manny Pacquiao. 2 world championship belts were at stake, which would make the winner of the contest the unified champion of the division. Juan Diaz mocked Juan Manuel for his age, with a 10-year difference, hoping his youth would favor him. But he couldn't have been more wrong. From the sound of the first bell, Diaz came out aggressively pressuring Marquez. Juan Manuel knew he had to be patient, not to tire himself out early. But that patience made it seem like El Torito's attack was effective.
Already the pressure from Diaz begins. Good straight left hand.
Despite there being no risk of being knocked out, Marquez was losing the fight. By the 5th round, Diaz managed to open a cut on Juan Manuel's face. That punch was the reality check for Marquez, who realized it was time to start responding to Diaz and put an end to his streak of attacks.
Diaz again, imposing his will against Marquez on the ropes.
5 rounds had passed, so Marquez deduced that Diaz, who had been giving his all from the start, was tired. So, the moment he had been patiently waiting for had arrived. Marquez landed punches more and more frequently, even returning the favor by opening a cut over Diaz's right eye.
I didn't even know he was in the ring.
No, they're just fighting their way straight through the fight.
You know, not to say it's quite.
In the 8th round, he rocked Diaz after connecting a left hook.
Now this. Economic conditions are helping.
His most effective punch.
Along with the straight right hand.
At the beginning of the 9th round, the judges' scorecards were even. Either of them could be pointed out as the winner of the fight. Only 35 seconds of this 9th round remained, and Marquez knew he couldn't afford to lose. He landed 2 right punches that sent the youngster to the canvas. However, Diaz got up, only to receive an uppercut to the jaw a few seconds before the round ended.
A Spanish fighter would probably think, but I don't think that's what he's going to do.
And look at Marquez go to the body. Look at him go to the body to try to set up the finisher. What a right hand, and that will be.
Diaz crumbled to the ground, and the referee had no choice but to declare the end of the fight. Juan Manuel was declared world champion. But his list of revenges was far from being closed. In 2010, Juan Manuel Marquez, the lightweight champion, agreed to fight Michael Katsidis. The fight would take place in Las Vegas and would be a showdown between the 2 best lightweights in the world at the time. Katsidis came in with a streak of 4 consecutive victories, but Juan Manuel was the favorite in polls and bets. Of course, Michael didn't hesitate to claim that he would defeat the Mexican a couple of times. At the beginning of the fight, Marquez was looking for a quick victory. He started throwing body hooks at Katsidis, which would be easier to connect in the 2nd round when the fight was already in close quarters.
So what
Can he?
However, in the third round, Katsidis surprised Marquez with a left hook to the jaw, sending him to the canvas.
And that extended straight through.
Hard left hook by Katsidis.
Marquez got back up, although the audience was on the edge of their seats. From that point onward, the fight would turn gray at times for the Mexican. Katsidis kept pushing forward, landing good punches to Marquez's head. Until, in the fifth round, Juan Manuel managed to stabilize the fight. The sixth, seventh, and eighth rounds were perhaps the toughest moments for the audience. Powerful punches were exchanged, and either fighter could be knocked out. But in the ninth round, Marquez decided to end the fight. A right uppercut and several combinations of punches led the referee to intervene and give the victory to Marquez.
For the most part, the fight is over.
He is certainly making his case for Pacquiao in this fight.
Is he ever? The variety of punches from so many different angles where Katsidis can't even see him.
And Kenny Bayless.
Thus, Juan Manuel Marquez had renewed his record to a total of 52 wins, with 38 of them by knockout. Juan Manuel Marquez managed to prove he was up to the best and make Mexico proud, despite claims that he didn't represent it due to his lack of courage in the ring. Although he didn't always have good moments, recovering by defeating the fighters who made the worst comments about him certainly helped him move forward and receive much more support from fans. Which of these fights do you think was the best? Do you think the anger of being mocked helped him defeat some fighters who were in better moments than him? We'll read your thoughts in the comments.